The sound of laughter still echoes in my mind, that sharp, cruel laugh that came from the woman twirling my wedding ring between her fingers. She looked me straight in the eye, that smirk dancing on her painted lips, and said, "Guess he loved me more than you after all." My breath caught. That ring wasn't just gold. It was my life, my vows, my memories. And as she slipped it onto her finger like a trophy, something in me snapped. She thought she'd taken everything from me, but she had no idea I was about to take back far more than a ring. If you're watching this, hit that like button and tell me where you're from. And don't forget to subscribe if you love stories where karma finally shows up. This is a powerful story of betrayal, secrets, and a mother's silent, hard revenge. A story that proves, sometimes, the quietest women have the loudest revenge. Let me back up and tell you exactly how all of this began. I'm Ellen Smith. Most people just call me Ellen. And at 62 years old, I thought I'd seen the full range of what life could throw at a woman. Love, loss, grief, and even loneliness. For 38 years, I'd been married to Robert, my high school sweetheart, a man who built us a small jewelry store from scratch in the heart of our town. He was the kind of man who never came home without a story or a new design sketch folded in his jacket pocket. Every piece he made had meaning. A birthstone for a new mother, a promise ring for a nervous young man, or an anniversary pendant for a couple growing old together. But my favorite piece, the one that meant everything to me, was the diamond ring he crafted for me on our 20th anniversary. It wasn't the biggest or the most expensive, but it was ours. A simple gold band with 2 tiny sapphires curling on each side of the diamond, representing our 2 children, Lucas and Emma. When Robert slipped it onto my hand that night under the porch light, he said, "This ring is my vow to you, Ellen. As long as you wear it, you'll never face anything alone." Those words, they became my anchor, especially after cancer took him, slowly and cruelly, 4 winters ago. And after he passed, I swore to myself I'd keep the store running in his memory, for him, for our children, and for the promise of that ring. For the first year after his death, I moved through life like a shadow, quiet, polite, and completely hollow. I'd wake up early, open the shop, polish the display cases, and whisper a good morning to his framed photo behind the counter. It was my way of pretending everything was still okay. Then came Marla. That's where everything changed. Marla was a customer at first, the kind of woman who made people turn twice when she entered a room. Sharp heels, red lips, a scent of something expensive and heavy. She said she'd been a close friend of Robert's. That phrase, close friend, made something twist inside my chest. She told me she'd worked with him on a few custom designs before he passed and wanted to help me modernize the store. At first, I was grateful. After all, she seemed confident, connected, and full of ideas. She'd say things like, "Ellen, honey, you've got to think bigger. Robert was an artist. You're sitting on a gold mine here." Against my better judgment, I let her help with a few displays, then a few purchases. Before long, she was in the back room balancing my books, telling me which clients to keep and which to drop. And to be fair, for a while, the shop did start doing better. But so did her power. She'd started referring to the store as our place. And when customers asked for me, she'd smile and say, "Oh, Ellen's just the sentimental heart. I handle the business side." Something about her tone, that mix of pity and superiority, made me uneasy. But she was smart and I was tired. Widowhood can make you trust the wrong people, especially when they pretend to care. I tried to ignore the small things. Missing receipts, small deposits made under her name, her constant need to mention how Robert always said she had great taste. Every time she said his name, my stomach tightened a little more. Then one Thursday evening, I walked into the shop after closing and froze. There she was, standing by the counter, talking to a man I'd never seen before. In her hand, under the warm light of the chandelier, was my ring, Robert's ring. The ring that was supposed to be in my jewelry box at home. She was spinning it around her finger, laughing softly. The man beside her, probably one of her business associates, leaned in and said, "That's a fine piece. Vintage." And she smiled, that cold smile I would come to hate, and said, "It's a custom design. The husband made it for his wife. But some people don't know how to hold on to nice things." My knees nearly gave out. It felt like the air had been sucked out of the room. That ring had never left my hand until the week before, when I'd misplaced it while rearranging displays. I'd torn the store apart looking for it, finally convincing myself it must have fallen, somewhere I couldn't see. And here it was on her hand. I didn't make a scene. I didn't scream or demand an explanation. Instead, I smiled, steadying my voice as I said, "Marla, I see you found something that doesn't belong to you." She tilted her head and laughed, that same sharp, cutting sound that would haunt me later. "Oh, Ellen," she said, sliding the ring up to her knuckle. "You're sentimental, aren't you? It's just a piece of metal." Just a piece of metal. That ring was the promise my husband left behind. The one thing that made me still feel married, still tethered to the world. And she was wearing it like it was a joke. That was the night I stopped being the polite widow everyone pitied. Something dark and cold settled into my chest. That was the night I promised myself she would regret ever touching what was mine. I didn't know it then, but that single act, her laughing while holding my ring, was going to unravel everything she'd built. And when karma finally came for her, it would have my fingerprints all over it. I didn't sleep that night. I sat at the kitchen table, my late husband's coffee mug still by the sink, and just stared at the wall. Marla's laughter kept replaying in my mind, the way she rolled that ring around her finger like a victory prize. She hadn't just stolen jewelry. She'd stolen my dignity. And the worst part? She thought I was too weak, too old, too broken to fight back. But she'd miscalculated one thing. Grief doesn't kill you. It teaches you how to endure pain in silence until the right moment to use it. The next morning, I unlocked the shop at exactly 9 a.m. as usual. The sunlight streamed through the front windows, lighting up the glass display cases. Everything looked the same, perfect, peaceful, ordinary. But something in me had shifted. Marla arrived 10 minutes late, pretending to be frazzled as she always did. Her perfume filled the air before she even spoke. "Morning, Ellen," she said brightly. "Rough night? You look like you didn't sleep a wink." I smiled thinly. "You could say that." She didn't even flinch, just tossed her purse onto the counter and started flipping through receipts like nothing had happened. I watched her for a while. The way she moved through my husband's store as if it belonged to her. The way she treated my customers like pawns. She'd already started placing new orders under her name. Invoices, designs, suppliers. It wasn't just a stolen ring anymore. It was an invasion. So, I decided to do something I hadn't done since Robert passed. I opened the old lockbox in the back room. Inside were decades of ledgers, handwritten notes, sales records, contracts. Robert had always said, "Paperwork tells the truth even when people lie." And buried among those papers, I found something I'd forgotten existed, a small binder labeled Estate Transfer, Ellen L. Smith, sole proprietor. Signed. Notarized. Legally binding. That store was mine. Every inch, every case, every gem. And that meant Marla wasn't a partner. She was an employee. For the next few days, I played dumb. I let her strut around, acting like she owned the place. But behind that quiet smile, I was watching. I saw how she kept certain customers aside, wealthy ones, promising them exclusive pieces that never went through our books. I noticed her printing fake receipts, signing them E. Smith. And every night after she left, I checked the security footage. I downloaded every file, every clip, every transaction. I wasn't ready to confront her. Not yet. No, I wanted her to dig her own grave first. Then one evening, I overheard her on the phone. She didn't realize I was still in the back room when she said, "Don't worry, babe. I'll have enough to invest by next month." She's practically handing it all over to me. That was the first time I heard her call someone babe. The voice on the other end, low, male, smug, replied, "Good. The sooner you take her out, the better. You don't owe that old lady anything." The line went quiet after that. But in that silence, something inside me hardened into steel. The next morning, I called my lawyer, Janice, a family friend who'd handled Robert's estate years ago. When I told her what I'd discovered, she sighed and said, "Ellen, you're the legal owner. If she's selling assets without your consent, that's embezzlement." I asked her not to act yet. I needed time to make sure every single lie Marla had told would explode in her face. That's when the idea of the invitation came to me. We had an annual event at the shop every spring, a small charity auction Robert started for local families. It had been suspended since his passing, but the town still remembered it fondly. So I told Marla one morning, with deliberate nonchalance, "I've been thinking, dear, maybe it's time to bring back the spring auction." Robert would have liked that. Her eyes lit up, but not from sentiment. No, hers gleamed with greed. "That's brilliant, Ellen. We can use it to attract high-end buyers. I know just the people to invite." Exactly what I wanted her to say. She immediately took charge, making calls, sending invitations, promising private showings of our most valuable pieces. She didn't realize every email she sent was being BCC'd to my personal account. Over the next 2 weeks, I watched her create her own downfall. She quietly reallocated several items from the store's inventory: a diamond pendant, a sapphire brooch, and even a custom gold bracelet Robert had made years ago. She told me she was having them polished for the auction, but I knew where they really went. I'd seen the camera footage of her meeting the same man from before in the parking lot, handing him a black velvet case. I didn't confront her. Not yet. Instead, I smiled and told her how proud Robert would have been to see her handling things. Let her think I was fragile. Let her think I'd given up. Because when you underestimate a grieving woman, you hand her your weaknesses one by one. By the time the auction night arrived, Marla was glowing with confidence. She wore a shimmering red dress, her hair swept back, and yes, my wedding ring glinting proudly on her hand. The guests arrived, old clients, business owners, even the mayor's wife. Everyone admired the displays, sipped champagne, and congratulated Marla on her beautiful event. And she soaked it up. She thought it was her night. What she didn't know was that every piece she'd tried to sell illegally was already cataloged, photographed, and reported to my lawyer. And every conversation she'd had about those pieces was on record. At exactly 8:30 p.m., I stepped onto the small stage at the front of the shop and tapped the microphone. The chatter died down. "Thank you, everyone, for coming tonight," I said softly. Robert would have been so happy to see this store full again. I looked toward Marla, who stood near the counter, smiling that smug, camera-ready smile. "Before we begin, I'd like to thank someone very special. Marla, for her hard work organizing this event." The room applauded. She waved gracefully, like a queen accepting her crown. Then I smiled and turned the spotlight directly on her. "And now," I said, "let's talk about what this event is really about, honesty." Her smile flickered. The crowd fell silent. I gestured toward the display cases. Each of these pieces represents not just jewelry, but memories, trust, legacy. And when someone tries to profit off another's pain, well, that story deserves to be told, too. A murmur rippled through the guests. Marla's expression shifted from confusion to panic. "Ellen, what are you doing?" she hissed under her breath. I turned, holding up a folder. The binder Robert had signed years ago. "This," I said, "is proof that I am the sole owner of Smith Jewelers. Every sale, every asset, every design. And this," I clicked the remote. The projector screen behind me lit up with footage. Marla handing over the jewelry cases in the parking lot. Her voice on the phone, promising her accomplice that the old lady will never know. Gasps filled the room. A few people actually covered their mouths. Marla froze, her face draining of color. "Ellen, this is out of context." "Is it?" I said calmly. "Or should we let the police decide that?" The morning after the auction, the town was buzzing. By sunrise, half the city had already seen the video clips. Someone from the event had recorded the moment Marla was let out in handcuffs. Face pale, lips trembling, my ring glinting on the evidence tray beside her. The store's phone rang nonstop. Reporters, Old customers. Even the mayor's secretary called to check in. For the first time since Robert died, Smith Jewelers wasn't fading into memory. It was headline news. But I didn't celebrate. Not yet. Because if I'd learned anything from loss, it's that endings are never tidy. Marla wasn't done, not by a long shot. 3 days later, I received an email from an unknown address. Subject line: "You'll regret this." The message was short, typed in a rush. "You think you won, old woman. You took my life. But I'm not finished. Watch your store." I stared at it for a long time, feeling the old familiar chill of fear creeping back in, until something stronger replaced it. Resolve. I forwarded the message straight to Officer Miller, the detective handling the case. He called an hour later. "We're keeping an eye on her," he said. "She made bail, but she's under investigation for multiple counts of fraud."
"Bail?"
I asked quietly.
"For now. But don't worry, Mrs. Smith.
"She's not going far." I thanked him, but when I hung up, my hands were shaking. Not from fear, from fury. She'd stolen from me, mocked my husband's memory, humiliated me in my own store, and now she wanted sympathy?
No.
If karma needed a little help, I was going to give it a gentle push. I spent the next few weeks quietly rebuilding. Customers returned, some out of pity, others out of admiration. They'd whisper things like, "You are so brave, Ellen."
Or,
"I can't believe you caught her red-handed." But the truth was, bravery had nothing to do with it. It was justice, the kind that creeps in silently and restores balance one truth at a time. Still, business wasn't enough. I wanted her to feel what I'd felt, the sting of being laughed at, underestimated, forgotten. So, I started digging. Not gossip, facts. Through Janice, my lawyer, I learned that Marla had more skeletons than anyone realized. Multiple failed business ventures. Debt collectors calling day and night. A record of falsified insurance claims. And worst of all, she'd been using Robert's old sketches to pitch new designs to private collectors online. That was it. That was the thread I needed to pull. For 2 nights straight, I sat at my kitchen table with Robert's old laptop. I opened the cloud drive he'd left behind, the one Marla didn't know existed, filled with his original jewelry designs, each one time-stamped and signed. Then I opened social media and found her latest post. "Exciting new line coming soon. Exclusive preview next week." Every single image she posted was one of Robert's stolen sketches, slightly altered but unmistakable. I felt my jaw tighten. This wasn't just theft. It was erasure. She was trying to rewrite history. I printed everything, the posts, the sketches, the timestamps, and took them straight to Janice. She smiled grimly. "This is intellectual property theft, Ellen. She's just handed us her own confession." A week later, I got the call. Marla's exclusive preview had turned into a disaster. The event had been shut down mid-presentation after a reporter, one I'd quietly tipped off, confronted her with copies of Robert's original sketches. The look on her face, they said, was priceless. By the end of the day, her investors had pulled out. Her so-called partner had gone silent. And her social media pages were flooded with angry comments calling her a fraud. Justice moves slowly, but humiliation? That travels at the speed of Wi-Fi. Still, part of me wasn't satisfied. I didn't want her just exposed. I wanted her forgotten, to disappear the same way she tried to erase Robert's legacy. So I did something symbolic, something small but final. I took out the old sign that used to hang above our store. Smith & Co. Jewelers. The paint was chipped, the gold lettering dulled by time. For years after Robert's death, I couldn't bring myself to replace it. But now it felt right. I ordered a new one. When it arrived, I stood on a step stool at dawn, wind tugging at my scarf, and screwed it into place. Smith Jewelers. Handcrafted legacy. It wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about reclaiming what was mine. My name. My story. My piece. But karma, it seems, wanted to write the final line herself. 2 months later, I was polishing the front counter when Officer Miller stopped by again. He looked tired but satisfied. Thought you'd like to know, he said. Marla's been charged. Wire fraud, forgery, and theft. Looks like she'll be spending a few years reflecting on her choices. I nodded slowly, feeling the air leave my chest. Will she be all right? I asked, surprising even myself. He gave me a faint smile. She's alive, Mrs. Smith. But she's lost everything. The business, her investors, her reputation. It's poetic, really. Poetic. Yes, that was the word. Karma didn't need me to destroy her, only to reveal her. After he left, I locked the door, turned off the lights, and stood in the quiet glow of the showroom. The gold bands and diamonds shimmered like stars in the dark, each one reflecting a piece of a life I'd rebuilt. I looked down at my hand, at the ring that had started it all. The diamond caught the light, and for the first time in years, I didn't feel grief. I felt gratitude. You see, Robert, I whispered, she thought she could take your promise from me, but all she did was remind me who I am. And in that stillness, surrounded by the legacy we built together, I finally smiled. Because the woman who took my ring never understood that my strength wasn't in the gold.
It was in me.
The town eventually quieted down. People moved on, as they always do after a scandal loses its shine. But for me, silence didn't mean peace. It meant reflection. Every morning I'd unlock the shop, the bell chiming softly, the smell of old wood and polished metal filling the air. Customers returned, smiling, supportive. They'd tell me how proud Robert would be. I'd nod, thank them, smile back, but inside, something still felt unsettled. Revenge has a strange aftertaste. At first, it's sweet, justice blooming like roses after a long winter. But as days pass, the petals fall, and all you're left with is the thorn. One evening, just as I was closing up, a familiar figure appeared at the window. I froze. Marla. Her once perfect hair was pulled back roughly, her face pale and thinner than I remembered. When our eyes met through the glass, she didn't look defiant. She looked broken. I could have ignored her, locked the door, called the police, gone home. But something, curiosity, maybe compassion, made me open the door just a crack. What do you want, Marla? I asked quietly. She hesitated before stepping inside, clutching a small paper bag like it was fragile. I'm not here to fight, she whispered. I just needed to give you something. She placed the bag on the counter and stepped back. Inside was a velvet pouch, the kind I used to sell with engagement rings. When I opened it, my breath caught. It was a ring. Not mine. A different one, older, imperfect, but clearly handmade. Robert gave me that, she said softly. A long time ago, before you two were married. The room fell silent. My pulse pounded in my ears. You're lying, I said, my voice steady but cold. She shook her head.
No.
He made it in college. Said it was practice. I kept it all these years. I thought if I wore it, maybe some of his talent would rub off on me. She laughed bitterly. Guess not. For the first time since her arrest, I didn't see a thief standing in front of me. I saw a woman who had built her life on envy and lost everything to it. Maybe that was her curse. Why are you giving this to me? I asked. She looked down. Because I don't want it haunting me anymore. And because I think he would have wanted you to have it. Her words hit harder than I expected. Robert never mentioned her, but I remembered once, decades ago, finding a sketch in his old journal labeled simply M. I'd brushed it off as nothing. Now, I wasn't so sure. After she left, I locked the door again and sank into the old leather chair behind the counter. The ring lay in my palm, simple, imperfect, human. Not a confession, not a victory, just truth, stripped bare. It didn't excuse what she'd done, but it reminded me that pain is rarely one-sided. For weeks I'd thought revenge would heal me, but maybe healing required something else, forgiveness, or at least understanding. Not for her. For me. That night, I went home and dug through Robert's old letters, yellowed with time, edges soft from touch. In one of them, written decades earlier, he'd scribbled something I'd forgotten. Jewelry is never about gold, Ellie. It's about memory. The hand that made it, the heart that wears it. I stared at those words until my eyes blurred. Then I looked down at the ring Marla had returned, and for the first time, I didn't feel bitterness, just closure. The next morning, I walked to the lake behind our house, the one Robert loved. The air was crisp, the water calm, reflecting the autumn sky like glass. I held both rings in my hand. Mine, the symbol of our promise, and hers, the symbol of her envy. And then I did something I hadn't planned. I slipped both rings into a small wooden box, tied it shut with red silk, the same ribbon I used to wrap engagement gifts for customers. And I whispered. A week later, the first snow arrived, soft, quiet, forgiving. Business was steady, laughter returned to the shop, and the sound of the bell no longer hurt. I started a new project, the Legacy line, jewelry inspired by old designs, but each piece carrying a story of redemption and strength. Every item came with a note that read, "Forged from pain, polished by truth." It became my best-selling collection. And soon, customers weren't just coming to buy jewelry, they were coming to share their stories, too. Stories of betrayal, of heartbreak, of survival. They called it healing. I called it rebirth. One afternoon, a young woman came in, bright eyes, shaky hands. She said, "I saw your interview, Mrs. Smith. The one about forgiveness. My mom stole from me once, too. I hated her for years." I nodded gently. "And now?" She smiled through tears. "Now I'm learning to let go." I placed a pendant in her hand, a simple silver heart with a small flaw on one side. "Keep that," I said. "Imperfections tell the best stories." She hugged me before she left. And in that small moment, I realized what my revenge had truly done. Not destroy, but transform. Because real power doesn't come from revenge. It comes from surviving long enough to turn your scars into something beautiful. That night, as I closed the store, I caught my reflection in the front window. For a moment, I saw my younger self, the heartbroken widow, trembling with rage. Then the reflection shifted, and I saw the woman I'd become, calm, strong, untouchable. The mirror doesn't lie, but it also doesn't judge. "You did good, Ellen," I whispered. "You took your life back." And outside, under the quiet glow of snow, the world finally felt still. The chapter had closed, but the story, the real story, had just begun. Winter turned into spring before I even realized. The snow melted off the shop's awning, the same way grief had melted from my chest, slow, patient, inevitable. The sunlight hit the front window just right that morning, scattering tiny rainbows across the display case. Each one danced over the new collection, the Legacy line, every piece telling a story of pain turned into art. I'd never meant for it to go viral. But one local journalist shared a photo of the collection online, captioned, "A widow rebuilt her life from betrayal, one ring at a time." And just like that, orders started pouring in from all over. Women wrote from everywhere, Texas, London, Karachi, Seoul, saying, "Your story gave me strength. I went through something just like you. I'm learning that revenge doesn't always have to burn. Sometimes it can bloom." Reading those messages, I realized something I hadn't before. The story had stopped being mine. It had become ours. Every Saturday, I held small gatherings at the shop. I called them Tea and Tales. We'd sit in a circle of mismatched chairs, tea steaming between us, and women would tell their stories. Stories of cheating husbands, of daughters who stopped calling, of friendships broken over envy and pride. Some cried, some laughed through their tears. But all of them left lighter, because pain, when shared, loses its power to poison. And as I listened, I felt Robert's presence again, quiet, proud, somewhere in the warmth of that little shop. One afternoon, a woman about my age approached me after one of those gatherings. Her name was Clara. She said, "I used to work with Marla. Before everything happened." My heart clenched, but I kept my smile steady. Clara hesitated before continuing. "She's different now. Works part-time at a small repair shop. Keeps to herself. Told me she's trying to make amends. For a long moment, I didn't say anything. I wasn't sure what I felt. Satisfaction? Relief? Pity? Maybe all three. People change, I finally said. Sometimes pain's the only teacher that sticks. Clara nodded. She told me to tell you thank you. That stopped me cold. For what? I asked. For making her see what she'd become. I exhaled slowly. That was Karma's last whisper. Not a roar. Not vengeance. Just truth echoing back softly. That night, I closed up early and walked to the lake again. The water shimmered under a sky painted with stars. It had been months since I'd let the red silk box sink beneath those waves, but I could still picture it, resting quietly, like a secret that had finally found peace. I sat on the dock, wrapped my shawl tighter, and whispered, "We did it, Robert. We found the light again." And in that stillness, I felt something shift, not sadness, not joy, but completion. A few weeks later, my granddaughter, Lily, came to visit. She was 13, all curiosity and wild curls, clutching her sketchbook like it was treasure. "Grandma, can I show you something?" She flipped open the book, revealing a ring design. It was imperfect, the proportions uneven, the lines shaky, but the idea, oh, it was beautiful. "I want to make this someday," she said proudly. "Like you and Grandpa used to." Tears welled up before I could stop them. I kissed her forehead. "You will, sweetheart. You already carry our story in your hands." And in that moment, I realized what legacy really meant. It wasn't revenge. It wasn't even survival. It was passing on strength, quietly, through time, through love. Months later, the mayor's office called. They wanted to honor E. Smith Jewelers as a symbol of resilience and artistry. When I stood on that small stage in front of the town that once pitted me, I didn't think about the humiliation, or Marla, or even the pain. I thought about every woman who'd ever been broken and rebuilt herself piece by piece. And I said, sometimes life takes what you think you can't live without. But if you listen closely, the breaking is where the light gets in. We don't stay shattered forever. We become something stronger, something beautiful. The crowd stood, clapping. But I wasn't performing. I was speaking to every soul who'd ever known betrayal and thought it would end them. Because it doesn't end you. It remakes you. When I got home that night, I placed the award next to a photo of Robert and me on our wedding day. The photo had faded, edges curled, but the joy in our eyes was still there. I whispered, "You see, love? The woman who took my ring never took my heart. I took my life back. And maybe that's the most beautiful revenge of all." The clock ticked softly. The store bell rang once as the wind nudged the door, as if he'd walked in just to say goodbye. And that, my friends, was Ellen Smith's story, the woman who took my ring. I took her life back. If you're watching this right now, hit that like button and tell me where you're watching from Globe Showing Europe, Africa. And don't forget to subscribe if you love stories where karma finally shows up in red silk style. Because here on Red Silk Revenge, we don't just tell stories of betrayal, we show how power, grace, and justice always find their way home. Until next time, stay strong, stay silent, and let karma do the talking.